let's see. Nope, he doesn't unmute. We're good. Hello, Alex. Welcome aboard. And hello, Robert Lee. Welcome aboard. Alex and Robert, we still don't see or hear you, but if you're able to futz with that, I'm trying to unmute Alex, but doesn't seem to be helping. So we'll still give it a couple minutes. I know that since this is the first time we're doing this, Cara, I think it's going to take people a little bit to...
I was just able to unmute both Robert and Alex. Hi, guys.
Awesome.
Hey. Yeah, I had my settings set up where it automatically comes out as muted. And
Got it. So Cara, this is my nephew.
Hi, Alex.
How you doing, Cara?
Awesome name. That's my son's name.
Oh, cool.
Very good.
And here we have somebody else popping in. So, all right. So I just added Melanie Smith, and here comes Kate Foster. So if you'll unmute people as they come in, Cara, that'd be great.
Hi, Melanie.
Got a friend with me too.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Hi, Kate.
This is great. So I would say it's working. So for people who are just popping on, this is the first time either Cara or I are doing something in this format. So you'll hopefully bear with us as we kind of learn this together.
Oh, Melanie's muted, and
Kate.
so is Kate. I think I unmuted, so I'm assuming that you guys have muted yourselves. Yeah.
And is the sound okay for anybody who can hear? Okay, great. So we are recording this as well. Hey, Robert.
Hey there. I just turned on my video.
Okay, perfect. And for anybody who is interested or thinks that there are others who will be interested, we'll post the link to the recording. I'll try to get it up on YouTube in the next day or so. And so people can kind of check it out and see what it's like if it's of interest. So at the moment, because this is the first one that we're doing, and I know that for a lot of folks, it's still a learning curve to figure out all the controls. So we're just going to give it a couple more minutes and let people pop in as they do. So Melanie, where are you living?
I'm in Seattle.
Oh, you're in Seattle. Okay, great. That's great. And how did you hear about this?
Through LinkedIn, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's great. And then how about you, Kate, if you can hear us?
I think I'm probably on LinkedIn or through Washa, maybe.
Oh, okay. So you're also in the Northwest?
I am. I'm in Bellington.
Oh, fantastic. Cara, where's the Aussie crowd?
You do great.
Sorry.
I'm an
Melanie,
Aussie.
are you from Australia?
Yes, I am. Far from home right now.
Well, you're a little closer right now because Cara's in Sydney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, the Blue Mountains, actually.
Well, that's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
So, Cara, at this point, I think we can start with introductions if you want, and just kind of go from there. What do you think?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do this.
So welcome everybody. This is the first collaborative project between Cara and myself. Both of us do similar things in different parts of the world, but both of us are in the background of kind of wellness and well-being. I am a patient advocate working in the greater Seattle area, and am active on LinkedIn, social media wise, and a little bit on Facebook too. But in my activity on LinkedIn, I met Cara, who again we kind of share similar backgrounds and post similar things, and this was her brainchild. And clearly something she'd been thinking about a long time. And so I love the idea and the concept and thought, okay, I'll add what I can and we'll see what we can put together. And so that is my background, and I'll pass it to Cara, but just to let everybody know that her plan for anybody who's interested is to also have a Thursday meeting that is not going to be a presentation, but more of just questions and answers, ideally about the topic, but frankly, it can be about whatever anybody wants. It'll be if there's interest, we're happy to do it. So, Cara?
Thank you, Saki. So my name is Cara, and I am in the Blue Mountains, New South Wales, a beautiful place. I am and have been a community services professional for over 15 years now. And I decided to start a business around health and well-being, and I facilitate workshops in the workplace around, maintaining mental health. So I've had a lot of experience with PTSD, bullying, young people on the streets, the criminal justice system, and all of that experience led me to start to create this program, which I would never have really gotten off the ground. I would have been sitting on this grandchild for probably years to come, but thank you to Saki for joining forces, and we hope that you really enjoy the program. So shall we get started?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Are there any questions before we jump in?
Nope.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Cara.
Excellent. So we've done that bit. We've just introduced ourselves. So your hosts are Saki Litov. Did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough.
And myself, Cara Lynn. So today we'll be discussing the quick overview of what we're going to cover in the presentation, what these two mindsets are, fixed versus growth mindset, why they matter. So we'll look at some of the research evidence on how and why they can impact on achievement. And finally, I'll talk about a professional development series that we will likely be holding soon to explore and help you develop a growth mindset. So I'm going to have to get used to this, Saki.
I know it's a whole new world.
Changing between the...
So as a background, just while Cara's pulling her stuff up, one of the challenges for anybody who is going to do something like this, interested in doing something like this, 'cause I think that there's a lot of value that lots of different people can bring. The logistics of it are really not straightforward. As simple as what do you put behind you, and how do you create what's on the screen so it looks good for people. So anyway, that's why we're going to be doing a lot of futzing around, at least the first couple of times.
Yeah, awesome. So a quick survey, show of hands. How many of you have no previous exposure to mindset research? some familiarity with it? Yep. Awesome. And a great deal. All right. Awesome. So we'll flip to the next one. So there are, of course, a lot of reasons people stop trying or don't try at all. Over the last few decades, a lot of research has shown that there is a powerful relationship between mindset and achievement. So these beliefs can have a significant impact on motivation, behaviors, responses to challenges and setbacks, and achievement. This is going to get me, Saki.
Oh, how to scroll?
No, between the two screens because it's not allowing me. There we go. Okay, so we generally hold, yeah, I've got the right one. So we generally hold one of two very different beliefs about, let's say, the topic intelligence. So some have what is called a fixed mindset. So the belief that intelligence is fixed, a fixed trait, and that it doesn't change much. So like eye color, you're born with a certain amount of it and there's not much you can do to change it. Others have a very different belief about intelligence, which is a growth mindset. They see it more like a muscle that grows with effort. It's working now. So mindsets. So these two beliefs lead individuals to a very different conclusion about the meaning of events. So as it turns out, these beliefs act like lenses through which individuals interpret their day-to-day experiences in life, particularly experiences of adversity. So people can draw very different conclusions about the meaning of events based on their mindset. Do we have any questions so far? Am I moving okay?
Can you give some examples of the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said before, a fixed mindset, using intelligence as an example, people believe that an individual would believe that you're born with your level of intelligence and that is not going to change, that there's nothing that you can do about it. Whereas a growth mindset will always believe that you can learn, that you can develop. And we will go into some, I'll just show you. So we will be going into some more examples in a minute on the next slide of fixed versus growth. So I'll just do this one. Are we happy with that explanation?
Yeah.
For now? Yeah? Okay. So these interpretations, these lenses, so fixed and growth, are what shape the narrative you use to make sense of the world. And the meaning we all make of events is what determines the behaviors that we choose to engage in. So if you believe there isn't a point in trying, then even the best teacher may not be able to reach you. And it's like the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Mhm.
We've all heard that one? Yep. So this is where we look at some examples. So the consequences of beliefs. They affect the goals that you have, how you view effort, and how you respond to failure and setbacks. For those with a fixed mindset, their goal is to show, referring to intelligence again, but the goal is to show how intelligent they are or hide how intelligent that they think they are. This makes sense, right? We're in agreement, yeah? If you think you're just born intelligent or not, you want to make sure you show you're intelligent. So this makes us much less likely to ask questions or seek out help from peers because that would involve showing that you do not know something. The others with a growth mindset, on the other hand, have the goal to learn. So they're more likely to ask questions if they don't understand or seek out help to try a new strategy if they're struggling. So a fixed mindset would be, I'm not good at this. Whereas a growth mindset would think, what am I missing? A fixed mindset would be, I give up. A growth mindset would say, I'll try a different strategy. Does that make sense so far? Yeah, I'm getting nods.
Yeah, and you know what, Cara, if you can, and I don't want to throw you off, but all I can think of while we're talking about this is that, you know, what is kind of in the forefront of everybody's head is the coronavirus and how it's affecting everybody's lives really differently. And I think the idea of the fixed mindset versus growth mindset is something I see in the news every day, or this idea of concern from healthcare, or this concept of needing to get the economy back up and going. So I think that this is really, it's timely to do this like this.
Yeah, absolutely, Saki. And, you know, I completely agree with you. You know, those with that generally have that fixed mindset are going to go along with all of that negativity and really absorb that, unfortunately. The negativity that we're getting from the news, and rather than all of the good things that that are coming out of it, and the good news stories. There is a lot of negativity surrounding the coronavirus, whereas those with that sort of growth mindset look at the situation, the issue, and think about how can we overcome this? How can we move forwards? And what can we do that's within our power now? What can we change? So yeah, I think that it's a really important topic at the moment. So a fixed mindset. Just going back to the slides. Are you okay for me to go back to the slides now? Yep. So basically, a fixed mindset is going to agree with you know, whenever I do something, I just want to show. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had one go dark. But most likely to agree with, you know, the main thing that I want to do when I do anything is to show how good I am at it. Whereas a growth mindset, you're going to be thinking, well, it's much more important for me to learn things than it is to get to be the best. So moving on to effort. Why? It's not working for me now, Saki.
Use the scroll.
No, it's actually frozen.
So we can still see it fine. So
I can see it.
No, it's my computer. So what I might do is,
Could I interject for just 1 second, some observations? I just see this as two things, open-minded and closed-minded. And they claim that, you know, as many people get older, they get more closed-minded, or at least set in their ways, rather than being open-minded. And I think the more open-minded or receptive you are to new ideas, the younger you stay. And that's an important part of healing and staying healthy.
yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I do, and it is that fixed mindset. You know, it's that closed mindset, whereas growth is very open. I am sorry, Robert.
Cara, do you want to, I can share my screen and get that up if you want, and that way I can just scroll through when you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so hang on 1 second. So I'm going to apologize to everybody ahead of time. Hang on, let's see if I can do this right. Let's do, actually I'm going to do the PDF.
Is that moving for?
What's that?
I'm just wondering, is that moving for you on the screen?
Hang on one second. I'm just sharing the slide, and I'll get us to the right place.
Unfortunately, they keep changing these programs because right now at this moment, because of the coronavirus, there more and more of these programs like this and Zoom and
Right.
Skype are adding all these features, but they're actually not making sure that they all work properly. So a lot of people are very confused. It's not easy. It's not necessarily your fault. It's just they keep changing everything.
Okay, here you go, Cara, right?
Yeah, I've not had this issue before, so I do apologize, but I actually cannot stop sharing my screen either.
Oh.
Um,
So here, let's do this. I'm going to stop sharing mine, and let's see if that works. Now, are you able to stop sharing yours?
no. How about you boot me out of the meeting and then I'll come back in?
Yeah, I can do that. All right. Thanks for everybody's patience. Hang on one second.
Thank you. Apologies.
Let's see. And it'll be interesting to see what happens to the screen sharing. All right, let's see. So is anybody seeing a new screen?
I'm still seeing the two sides, the mixed mindset and growth mindset.
You
And
are.
then plus
Okay.
I still see everybody on the right hand column.
Okay. So Cara's still in. Let's see this. If we can. Cara, are you still on? Can you hear?
Yep.
It's saying that if I take you out, you won't be able to rejoin.
Oh.
I might let me see what I can do. If you want to continue.
Yeah, no, I can totally continue. Once, if you log off, just shut yourself down.
I actually can't. I'm actually trying to go through Task Manager to end the program. I have 2 black screens and 1 frozen PowerPoint. So I'm happy to continue as is. I'll bring up the PowerPoint on my laptop, but at least now I know this is something that needs to be addressed. Apologies, everybody. But while I do that, Saki, if you would like to continue going through the slides.
Well, so we can't. I don't have a way to change slides still.
Okay.
So I think that the best thing to do would be, if you can, even just to shut the computer down so your connection cuts.
Yeah. And then I'll try to rejoin.
And then you just click the link to log back on, and I'll be able to let you right in. And then as soon as she's done that, I will be able to share my screen with everybody. So Robert, very, very apropos point about this idea of learning these programs, and there we go. All right. So let me share my screen, and
It says, what about effort?
yeah. So the tools that exist are actually quite cool. It'll be interesting because I now have actually a different view than I did. I was able to see everybody when when Cara was sharing her screen, but now I don't have a view. So I'm just gonna wing it. I can't, because I can't visually see people. Just let me know if you wave at me, I'm not gonna see you. So the question is, what about effort? So those with a growth mindset see effort as how you grow your abilities. And I think that this is interesting because it's going to really be very different for each person. Even in, I think, the definition of growth mindset, right? A mindset, when somebody has a fixed mindset, it is limiting. I'm trying to remember, Robert, what you had said, but it's apropos, somebody who is closed.
Closed-minded, yes.
And so somebody with a fixed mindset, is going to feel that when they work hard, it makes me feel like I'm not very smart. And, it's interesting because there is nuance to all this. And I'm sure everybody can appreciate that as well. But I think about somebody that I know who struggles with feeling like they're not smart, but I wouldn't think of them as having a fixed mindset. However, if you, with a growth mindset, you actually see the benefit of the work that you're doing. And you feel that the harder you work at something, the better you're going to feel about it and the better you'll be. So, in terms of responses to failure, I said this to somebody today. For everybody who is now doing work or in a work environment that is different than what they were doing just a couple weeks ago, because now we're all homebound, we're in different seats. And I would say that if you're not failing regularly, you're not trying hard enough. Because the only way to experiment and the only way to be able to move forward is to try, to take risks. And that means there's going to be a good amount of failure as part of that. And it's how we respond to that failure that makes all the difference in the world. And frankly, that separates, how people deal with this from one another. A growth mindset is very freeing, right? You feel like you can do anything. Interestingly, for anybody who has kids, this is one of those things that I really always want to feel like I imparted well to my children. And I think that, we all do the best that we can, but helping people gain a growth mindset can help people be successful at whatever it is that they do or whatever it is that they try. So, and mindsets can change, right? So just because somebody is feeling stuck or somebody is in a position where they're incredibly hard on themselves, it doesn't mean that they're stuck there. And you can make changes like internal. A lot of times I think the changes can come externally. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on this. Because we're such a small group, I'm really open to folks sharing. So please, if you have controls, there's a way to raise your hand or, send notes. But I'm happy to unmute anybody if you're not able to do it yourself. So Cara has this 4-step process to changing a fixed mindset. Okay. So number 1, it's learn to hear your fixed mindset voice, right? If you've got a voice in your head telling you, hey, you can't do this, or you're working too hard. If you can identify that, that's a big first step to being able to do something about it. The second is recognizing actually that you have a choice. And this is something a lot of people don't like to hear. The fact that everything is a choice. You choose to make a bad choice or you choose to make a good choice. But you do have a choice. Also, that choice is, part of that choice is how you respond to your fixed mindset voice, right? So when that little voice inside, in the back on your shoulder says, gosh, you're no good at this. You have a choice to kind of like let the positive voice come out and say, you know what, I can do this, and I can just try again and try again. Part of it goes back to the failure piece, right? You have to be willing and open to failing, because without, John, yeah, Robert.
You actually you started this step with a very interesting word. The word was respond. Respond is definitely a very different word from the word react. How you react or how you respond. Respond is more thoughtful. React is just by instinct, and oftentimes it doesn't work very well, does it?
No, that's a great point. And I know that all of us are works in progress. And interestingly, the idea of reacting is something that I'm personally struggling with all the time. How I react to differentiate the difference between reacting and responding. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes. I will tend to react to people who set me off for one reason or another. And even that's a choice, right? You can learn to not let certain things bother you. You can learn to not let certain things or people get under your skin. And so then you can hopefully, thoughtfully respond as opposed to reacting.
Absolutely.
So the fourth step is just taking the growth mindset action, saying, okay, yes, I can do this, and moving forward. So the challenge of the fixed mindset voice, along with next to that growth mindset, is determining what is that most appropriate action, kind of like what we were just saying, the difference between reacting and responding. And a lot of times it's going to be helpful if you ask the right questions. And the questions that you ask also determine the focus and will influence the direction that you go. So interestingly, it's just as important to identify what the right questions are as it is to understanding that differentiation. And the more growth-minded questions that you ask, the wider, brighter, and larger your world and possibilities can become. So I am going to admit that the Healthy Habits Challenge was Kara's, and I don't even know what we're doing yet. So I'm going to quickly go through the last bits of these slides to see what she had, and then I'm just going to I think I'll stop the screen share and open it up for any questions or thoughts. So originally, one of the things that we had talked about doing is we really want to create a community feel, something that feels supportive. This is meant to be a 10-week program. We don't expect that everybody's going to be able to make it every week, but one of the things we want people to walk away with is a little motivation, maybe a little more oomph or strength into moving into the week and whatever it is that you have ahead. So we were going to put out a challenge a week, and the challenge can be things like, it's meant to be achievable. So in week 4 or 5, we're going to be talking about sleep. The average rule of thumb says that you should be getting between 6 and 8 hours of sleep a night. Okay. Some people need more, some people can function on less, but so I know it would be a fun challenge that we have 1 week to see how many people were able to get between 6 and 8 hours of sleep a night. And we'll be sending out something for everybody to be able to use, and we'll track it all together. Part of the fun of doing something like this as well is, at least for me, is the competition. I know I'm not super competitive, but when I know that I'm being compared, I might actually try to get to sleep earlier to get in those 6 to 8 hours one more day.
Again, I do want to bring something up, Saki,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. It'll take
Sure.
a second. But this is back to being open-minded. For the longest time, even with Dr. Amen, I got into some, shall we say, disagreements because the myth has always been you need 8 hours sleep. That's BS. It can range anywhere for everybody. It can range anywhere from 5 to 10 hours a night. It depends on the person, depends on your brain, depends on the timing. And the minute you can break that myth, the better you'll be able to sleep, knowing, no, I don't need 8 hours sleep, or no, I need 10 hours sleep, because that's what works for you. The sooner people can get out of that mindset, the better. And that's called open-mindedness.
Yeah, and I think that would be that's a great point to use, in the sense that it's this idea of having the growth mindset, and having the growth mindset in relation to even just a piece of information, like how much sleep does one person need, is a really great point. And so, regardless of whether there is a right or wrong answer, it's the willingness to be open to having a different answer than you may have thought. I think that makes the difference. So a couple handy tips to kind of wrap up in general. And these are things that are very general, right? So incorporating gratitude into your daily life is so critical. And it's unbelievably changing in your demeanor. And so Robert mentioned a gentleman, Dr. Daniel Amen, who I had worked for, and Robert knows personally. And that's where we met. And when we were there, they had, the Amen clinics had a really kind of wonderful tool that you could track daily health. And my favorite piece of this app was the gratitude section. And it really allowed you to write in every day just the name of someone that you can be grateful for, or that you are grateful to, and just some notes. And it's unbelievable how, if you take 2 minutes a day to write down a sentence of gratitude, how much of a difference it can make. Just being more opening up your awareness to being able to open to different things. A lot of times people talk about, in terms of successful business, that having or creating the space in the universe to allow things to happen can be life-changing for people. And you don't even realize sometimes that you're being so limiting in what's going to come in. And then the other thing is monitoring your moods, right? Making sure that you are bringing your best self to any situation. So mind's like a muscle, right? The more you exercise it, stronger it gets, and the more it can expand. So I am going to stop the share here, and now I can see everybody again. Any questions, thoughts on this? Just as another overview, each week we have a different topic. So next week, it's foundational pillars of kind of daily habits that I'm going to be presenting. After that, week 3, it's exercise and movement. Week 4 is food for thought, we're calling it, but it's a lot about diet. And it's actually an old friend of mine who's going to be presenting, who's a nutritionist that I've worked with for many years. Week 5 is going to be sleep. And even though I'm a little biased, week 5 is my favorite presenter because that's my wife, Dr. Litov. Week 6 is morning rituals, again, kind of building in routines into your day. Week 7 is still kind of up in the air. We had relaxation techniques down. I spoke with somebody yesterday whose focus is handling fear, right? She's somebody that works on burnout. Oh, and it looks like Cara's in the waiting room. Look at that. So that's kind of up in the option. Hey, Cara. And let me get her off mute. There we go. Nope. I don't think I can. Are you off mute? I can't hear you. Nope. So I'm just going to keep going. So week 8 is going to be tips from working from home, things to do that you can help to better the situation that you're in. Week 9 is about getting organized, and week 10 is meant to be kind of a celebration and finale. We're going to try to get as many of the guest speakers on board who had presented in prior weeks. The other thing that is worth considering is the idea of this Thursday Q&A, which is really going to be more like this, kind of just a conversation. And if that is appealing, then we can open that up as well. We do have to be cognizant of the fact that even though 5 of the 6 of us are in the same time zone, we have a number of presenters who are in different parts of the world. And so we're going to pre-record some of our Monday webinars and then adjust the time on Thursday so that the presenters can be with us. So, for example, it's a 17 or an 18-hour time difference between Cara and I in the Blue Mountains to the Cascades. One of our presenters is in Israel, and that's like smack in the middle. So it's 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. for her right now. So she was open to doing like an early morning call for her, which works out, for everybody else as well. So Cara, do you have sound?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, yay.
So
No, my computer is still restarting. I'm so sorry. You are on my laptop.
well, and I think that this is kind of par for the course because everybody, I didn't speak to this earlier, but we can see it totally fine. My computer crashed right before we started. And so I was in this race to get the computer back up and going. So, Cara, I totally shut down at the challenge.
You shut down the challenge.
I didn't shut down the challenge. I shut down at the challenge. So in other words, I don't know enough about it to explain it. So I can share my screen again and bring back up those slides.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay. Now, for Cara, you don't know, but when I do this, I lose the ability to see anyone. So, so you guys should be able to see the slides. I'm going to scroll back to the challenge, and then just tell me where you want me to go.
So we're back on the slides. Because I'm going to try to just exiting full screen. Oh, so this is the healthy habits. So you went through the rest of the slides for mindset.
I did.
Just very quickly, I want to thank everybody for having so much patience, as this is the first one. And I now know that I won't be using my computer, but I will be using my laptop for week 2. So all these lovely little glitches. So the Wellness Check-in Healthy Habits Challenge. So basically, the Healthy Habits Challenge is actually something there's a lag in my camera, isn't there?
I'm not seeing you, so we're looking at the slides for the most part, so I wouldn't worry about the lag. I would just keep
Okay,
going.
excellent. All right, so the Healthy Habits Challenge is basically something that I do with all of my one-on-one clients. And it's also something that I do with workplaces when we're doing a workplace wellness program. So basically it is for the duration of the 10 weeks, and each week you are offered a small, easily achievable goal or habit to do. So for example, drinking water in the morning, 1 minute of exercises, stretching in the morning. There could be reflection, journaling. So each week there would be a different challenge for you to complete. So basically we introduce the idea, the how to do it, and you'll receive all of that via email. And also the Healthy Habits Tracker, which is just a very simple one-page, there you go. So one challenge each week, an easy to follow tracker, which is just a PDF that you can print off. It's one page. Unfortunately, I don't have it on this slide, but ongoing support from myself and Saki in relation to this if you find any difficulty. Encouragement, which I'm about to talk to Saki about. So we're looking at, my idea was to have a group, a community, a little community where those who are involved can keep each other motivated, share words of encouragement, focus on your breathing. So there will be some breathing exercises introduced throughout the Wellness Check-In program. And by doing all of this, you are achieving positive lifestyle changes which are sustainable, because it's not a matter of, we're going to do X, Y, Z and we're going to do it all at once. That's where people tend to fail. I hate the word fail. But yeah, so that's the idea of the Healthy Habits program or challenge. Oh, we'll get there, Saki. So anyway, I will send, after having a chat with Saki, all of that information will be sent out to you guys. You're more than welcome to participate. I am taking the opportunity to challenge Saki right now to do this along with our participants, as I will be doing. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Look forward to it.
So what's the challenge for the week?
So the challenge for this week is to hydrate the first thing in the morning.
Okay. And is there a way that we're measuring that?
Yep. So on that, so it's not necessarily around how much. So I'll share my video again. So it's not necessarily the quantity. It's just, even if you're not a water person, but you have your bottle of water next to your bed, it's a great reminder. You wake up, you see the water, you remember, I'm going to have a sip of water this morning, because that's the habit that I'm working on. And there you go. But yeah, so there'll be more information about it. And Saki, I know that you and I didn't really discuss the whole challenge.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I let everybody know, just so you know. I said, we got to the healthy challenge points. I said, I have no idea. So
Could I add a thought to that? Could I add a thought to that, Kara, for a minute? The past 2 years, I ended up drinking more and more what they call alkaline water. You can buy it now in the water section of all the grocery stores. And I don't suggest, it's all back to moderation. I don't suggest drinking it all the time. You don't have to drink it all the time. But the reason why drinking alkaline water is a good thing is because it helps to balance your body. To make it very simple, being Chinese, I grew up, in an Asian household. My mother used to talk a lot about, don't eat that, don't drink that. It's get hay, you can eat this. This is liang hei. And I didn't know what she was talking about. Then when 16, 17 years old, I moved away to Toronto. I was a hippie and we got into counterculture. And all of a sudden, everybody started talking about yin and yang. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, mom was talking about yin and yang. And yin is acidic, yang is cool, it's alkaline. And if you eat it, in the Western society, we tend to eat a lot of sugars, a lot of sweets, a lot of acidic things. And those are things that cancer feeds on. And if you balance it by drinking alkaline water, you tend to be a lot healthier. So I'm just telling
So
everybody.
if I drink more alkaline water, I can eat more chocolate.
Well, at least hopefully it'll balance it off better. But again, having alkaline water doesn't hurt. And I think after a short period of time, once you start drinking some alkaline water, especially during the day in the morning to hydrate, you will start noticing some very subtle health differences.
So there you go. So we have an addition into the challenges if you can find alkaline water. So we should give extra points for that.
It's not much more expensive than regular bottled water. And that's what's interesting. It's just that they make it so it's 8.9 alkaline. So it's a much better balance. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here drinking a Coca-Cola and that's acidic. That's not good for you, but I don't drink those all the time.
But that makes total sense, right? So,
yes.
All right. So Cara, anything else?
Well, Robert, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me know, because that is something that I'm going to have a quick look into before I send out the Healthy Habits Challenge to our participants. And Saki, I have it on a Post-it note. This is my...
Which means that it will happen.
It will happen. So, and that's great, because I can put that information in as an option for for those who are participating in the challenge. So I really look forward to sending that out to everybody and connecting with everybody next week to, we can share those printouts. There'll be an explanation on how to do it. It's as easy as shading in a little square. So I'm really excited to be sharing those next week and see how we all went with it.
So that's great. Well, thank you everybody for coming and participating, and we'll hopefully see you next week. I think that for this week, I don't know that we're going to do the Thursday meeting, because I don't think there was, with such a small group, everybody's able to participate as they want. So please also feel free to share. We're trying to figure out how to best kind of get the word out. And so feel free to share this link with anybody else that you think might be interested. And we hope to see you all next week. Have a great week, all.
Thank
Nice
you.
first meeting. Thank you.